We're in this time of experiment. That's what God is up to. We're trying a lot of new things. We're listening. And I think people are excited that we're leading the way for other congregations by living our life. So this is what we do. I'm privileged to walk with these congregations and this community in such intimate ways. I'm the pastor here in Glenville. So the Glenville area Lutheran Parish is made up of 3 churches: First Lutheran, Deer Creek Valley Lutheran, and then Bethlehem Lutheran. We're known as the Great Experiment. The Great Experiment of 3 churches coming together, not because they necessarily have to, but because they're wanting to live into God's mission better.
I met Josh through the school and through the church. He's willing to get involved, especially with the youth. The youth is our future, and to get them involved and let them be active and help them make good decisions, I think that's so important.
Pastor Josh is a very hands-on kind of leader. He likes to get involved.
You know, in seminary we talked about being Christian public leader, and I gotta admit that class reframed my mindset on how I thought about being a pastor, about the reality that I needed to be outside of the church, that I needed to listen. So I started subbing on my days off and would help out here and there at the school, and there's a whole lot of ministry that happens just being able to be there with them, just being able to be that presence with their pastor being so involved in the community.
We were looking for extra bus drivers, and I talked to Josh, and he said he'd be willing to get his bus license. So I worked with him, and he took his test, and now he fills in on our afternoon routes, fills in for our van drivers. He does many different things, and what a blessing he is to have here in the school as well as the community.
Bus drivers are as hard to find as pastors, except they give a little bit better signing bonuses to bus drivers than they do pastors. So now I get up, go out on the bus route every morning and pick up kids and drive sports routes, which is great because there's a whole lot of people that I interact with, a whole lot of parents that I interact with that are members of the church, but they don't necessarily come on a Sunday morning. Driving the bus as the sun is coming up, as animals are starting to wake up, as the kids are sitting quietly. I'm driving through cornfields and past the lakes and through hills and woods and all this beautiful scenery. That hour of quiet time to be able to pray, to be able to meditate, to be able to think about the scripture that I'm going to be preaching, that hour, Monday through Friday, has been huge. I have never thought about driving a school bus. But my role as pastor is every time I walk out the door, and then some, that I am the pastor whether I'm subbing, I'm the pastor whether I'm driving the bus, I'm the pastor when I'm in Walmart. I am that leader.
He has brought all kinds of new, innovative ideas to our congregation that's really helped bring it to life. People seem to relate to him, and because of that, he draws people.
It started with the youth. We had a lot of youth, but we didn't have stability. So we started conversations with other churches about the possibility of having a shared youth pastor. So the talks started there, but then grew into the larger parish talks.
Oh my goodness, what an impact he has had on our young people. They're part of our congregation instead of just being this other entity.
Our confirmation program last year, when I started, had about 4 students. The first part of this year, we had 1 student a week join confirmation for the first 5 or 6 weeks. And we've seen a lot of growth because there were kids here that were hungry for a place to belong, for a place to feel loved, a place to feel accepted, a place to be able to be. And we've been able to be that place. That was another one of those things of what is God up to. The churches identified that one all on their own without even really having to listen. They knew that was something that God was up to here. My time at Luther was great. I learned a lot that helped me to understand my role as a Christian public leader. And I am so glad that I had those courses with Dr. Shiley and Dr. Binder and Dr. Elton and Professor Kiefert and all of those teachers, because I learned so much I learned a lot about the reality of a changing world and a changing church. And then always asking that question of what God is up to. What God is up to. That is one of my biggest takeaways from seminary. What God is up to. Because God is up to something. Whether you're in the highest peak or in your lowest valley of lows, God is up to something. And it's just whether or not we're going to take the time to discern what's going on.